The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Hump Day, Wednesday, big day.
Big day.
We got the mayor with his press conference as we speak, telling who he's bouncing out so he can put all his friends in before the election, just in case he doesn't get reelected. They'll have their jobs.
That's right. But we've got a big story. Boom goes the dynamite.
Yes.
Well, it has been reported from our sources that DCM's building has been hit by a vehicle.
And not a city vehicle.
And not a city vehicle either. Atlantic Waste was doing their job on Thursday from follow-up this morning from our sources in city government. And they drove through the garage door at the DCM garage where they do their recycling sorting, and they left either some beam up, some drawer bar, whatever, some lifting bar, or maybe it was the backhoe, I don't know what it was, but they slammed into the building, causing some damage. Now, I've got two problems with this. Number one, we need to know about the insurance. And number two, I still have a problem with them being inside our building, especially when you see the pictures in a moment, you will see that they put their sign on the building. So this is going to be interesting. So the first of our pictures, which I definitely love to show you, is this one here. And as we notice in this picture, it's kind of far away, but it's still nonetheless the picture. You will see some type of screening or some rods in front of the city garage door. And those concrete things are Jersey barriers, one on top of the other. Now, I'll give you another picture of that. They were a little closer, and as you can see the Jersey barriers, and again, you see those rods. And when you see this picture, you're going to be like, you gotta be kidding me. So here's how the rods are.
Nice.
They're holding the wall up. And if you look at the top of the wall there, you'll see it separating. I'll show you some more of that in a moment. But notice the sign there. It says Atlantic Waste Recycling Center. No, that is the City of Fall River garage.
That's true.
Okay, and here's the killer. Here's the killer. Here's the killer.
Yep. Well, you know, first of all, I want to thank the person who sent us this, because I was, when we first got the tip, we wanted to investigate and confirm, and then we got the pictures. So now we know, and that's a metal building, so it's gonna come down like dominoes.
Right.
And I'm not even sure if that's the best way to actually secure that wall. You need someone who's a.
Well, and I have some problems with this. Number one, this happened on Thursday. Nobody knew on Thursday. It didn't become apparent till Friday. People still don't know. So on Friday, they moved Atlantic Waste out of that building.
Are they going to move the sign?
And they moved
and
him
put it on another public building?
Well,
I want to know that one. Yeah.
They did move him into another building.
Yeah, but did they move the sign?
No, they haven't moved the sign yet, I don't think.
Well, maybe now we'll have two public buildings with their signs on.
That's right. And they're supposed to carry insurance. Now, supposedly, an adjuster is coming down sometime this week or next week to assess the damage and come up with a dollar figure that they're going to pay for it. Now, Chip, you and I both know insurance adjusters don't work for the victim. No. They work for the insurance company, okay? Or they work for the insured. And they're not going to go by prevailing wage. They're not going to go by what the bid shows. They're going to go by what they think it's worth them paying. So we have that problem.
Yeah.
And if you remember correctly, when the roof was damaged over at the Westall School, it took us 3 years to get that money. So who's going to pay for this? Who is going to pay for this? I need to know. I'm a taxpayer.
And I want to know how much rent they're paying to use a public building.
Exactly. How much rent are they paying? You know, did we even get the check? I know that at one point we didn't even get the checks for the equipment rental they're using. And so we know obviously he has some type of insurance, but how much insurance does he have? Now, the other big problem is, why didn't Joe Bizco go down there and declare the building unsafe or condemn it or whatever the case may be? Steel buildings have a very significant problem. Their support is not in the center of the building. It is in the perimeter. Those steel walls help give the building stability. Now, you still have DCM workers working inside that building. Because remember, those buildings are all kind of interconnected. What if the roof falls? What if the wall falls and the roof falls and somebody dies?
Sounds to me like somebody should call OSHA.
I firmly believe that. And I think the OSHA should be called on the fire department. Because guess what? The firefighters are doing the same thing. They're in toxic areas. But this is a significant problem. And the mayor obviously didn't want to know what was going on. I'm getting my information about the press conference. And the mayor has a veil of secrecy over everything he seems to do.
Well,
is that just
you know,
me?
and then the big question is, had we not gotten this information, would it have ever come out?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, well, I can kind of speculate that the answer to that is, and obviously it's my opinion. My opinion is nobody would have ever heard about this.
And let's remember, let's go back to when Tobey, a.k.a. Atlantic Waste, got this contract. Tobey, a.k.a. Atlantic Waste, is not able to do business in Rhode Island. Yet they're taking our recycling to the state of Rhode Island. And we have an issue there, a major issue, because they had questionable practices when they were in Rhode Island. So, of course, this mayor goes and hires his buddies, because that's exactly what we have found, is that, you know, he has some type of personal relationship with this group of individuals or this company. And so far, he has proved nothing has been cost saving for us. He has not provided anything to us saying that there is a cost savings here. So the question then becomes, is this going to be a huge cost to the city of Fall River? And is the cost of the repairs going to be included in the alleged savings, which would be a deduction in that savings?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of other questions, too, because even if they you know, I mean, not that I'm going to trust the books coming from some of the people that well, all now that Mr. Gupta is gone, I guess tomorrow is his last day. And, I mean, I'm not going to trust any of those numbers. And the fact is even if they show a cost savings, is it truly a cost savings if we get busted for dumping trash in Rhode Island illegally by a company that's not allowed to do business in Rhode Island? And with all the litigations and fines that would go along with that, there are a lot of things that are not, they're just not, you know, they're not on the up and up. You know, we've gotten a company, and this company was so great and so committed to this type of work that they didn't have their own trucks.
Exactly.
And they're still leasing trucks, and they're still not placarded properly.
Oh, and it gets better.
So I mean, there's like you know, I mean, if we started on that, we could do like 5 shows. Just,
I know.
And we did actually do one show on that.
This, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I mean, there's like, you know, this is as they, you know, as they said in one gangster movie, forget about it.
Forget about it, yeah. Well, the thing is that, you know, I did speak to Rhode Island Resource and Recovery, which handles the recycling, and they said that they do have a contract for them to take Fall River recyclables. So there won't be any illegal dumping there. But the problem that we have is they're renting equipment from us. We haven't seen any savings yet. We haven't seen any numbers yet. This was supposed to be a trial program for, what, 90 days? I think they've been there for 180 or more already. And, you know, let's look at this veil of secrecy that goes over. False Fiore, should have already been terminated, voluntarily terminated because he's not a resident of the city of Fall River. Okay? 90 days on this contract and we're going to see the savings. Nobody has seen the savings. Nobody has seen any numbers, not even the city council. Nobody has seen anything. So there you go again. We have damage that's been caused to city property by this company, and again, we hid that. Nobody can see that. We can't show it. Nope, nope, don't let anyone know. It's an election year. I might get in trouble. The trash was supposed to save us money. We haven't seen those numbers yet either. I haven't seen any savings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did he hit the building with the city truck that they were using?
Well, that's what we need to find out.
Did he hit the truck with a leased truck? Now, is the company they're leasing for, have they been informed? And I'm not even sure about, yeah, they got a contract to dump in Rhode Island, but I'm not sure. Can a company that's prohibited from doing business in Rhode Island be, be the trucks that are going into Rhode Island to dump the trash? Did they get a waiver on the prohibition for that company to do business in Rhode Island? Because
no, they filed a new name for a new company in Massachusetts. So that Tobey.
Well,
also,
but the problem is, that to me sounds like, it sounds like offshore shell companies that
Exactly.
people hide money in. It's still the same company. And I'm
Right.
not sure if the state of Rhode Island decides to really get technical and they trace back the fact that all they did was change the name and it's the same company that was prohibited.
Right.
That prohibition may still, I mean, it's a legal quagmire that nobody really wants to get into. And that's like I said, and we in our infinite wisdom as a city government signed a 10-year contract with these guys. So it's like, really? You signed a contract with somebody that, it's not some company that's been in the business for years and has got a fleet of trucks and is,
Well, that's easy disposal. We have the contract for 10 years with. We don't have a contract per se with Atlantic Waste. We do have a 90-day contract. And we had I guess an extension on that, but we didn't hear anything about any of this. The city council hasn't heard anything about this. This is a veil of secrecy.
Well, nobody hears anything, and all these things are interconnected.
Well, let's quote the mayor. Let's quote the mayor. I don't have to tell you anything. I'm the mayor.
Well, yeah, but all these things are part of the piece. I mean, we're talking about the cost of trash removal. We're talking about the 10-year contract. Now, the relative cost of that contract has to be factored in with this aspect of trash removal.
Right.
I mean, it's everything, and that's the problem, Lobby. You don't see it. They try to break it up and try to handle it as one issue, when in fact, unfortunately, this is an issue. They're co-joined. They're like Siamese twins.
Yeah.
So one cost affects the overall cost of the other piece of this puzzle, because recyclables are trash, and their removal goes to the overall cost of trash removal. So,
right.
I mean, this is just it's a mess. But we get back to the real problem here. Again, the shadow government that we have never tells anybody about anything. It's like we do not have a right to know, because we're only the people who pay the taxes to run the city. Why would we have to know that they're running down buildings and things like this? So.
Oh, tell me about it. This has gotten so crazy that I have no idea what's going on, and neither do the people.
Yeah.
And when you're running a government, you have to be very clear to the public on what's going on, where the money's going, where the money's coming from, how this is happening, and they're just not doing it. And I have a severe problem with that. But hey, what can you do? Now the other big thingy with this is, I was listening to one of the media outlets on the way into the studio, and people are already saying that they think that the final election is gonna come down to Jazel and Linda. And they're all saying that they think Jazel is perfectly competent, and that even Dr. Mike said he's very competent as a leader. And they said, and the reason why Richard Cabassos won't make it is because, he has no track record of success. Well, guess what? Neither does this mayor. Before he was mayor, he had no successes. Everything was absolute failures. All his businesses. And those documents are still online for people to read and to look at. And this is a problem. You cannot base it on, you have to look at what actually has happened. He now has a record to look at.
Yeah, and a record which, by the way, doesn't really conform with what he ran on, because I am going to read you something that was on futurefallriver.com. It's been taken down since, but this is a push card, or a little flyer, or whatever euphemism you want to call, that was put out. And the heading of this is financial discipline. Jazel is committed to leading by example. He will reduce the salaries of staff in the mayor's office and prioritize expenditures and reduce budgets in all departments except for public safety and education. Well, number one, he didn't keep the pay cut that he promised for the entire year. Secondly, I know he's going to try to circumvent this and say, well, I did reduce the chief of staff's salary. Well, you paid him for 20 hours a week. You kept the full-time pay with part-time work for our corporation counsel. You gave stipends, which are pay raises under another name, to everybody that works in your department. So I guess you were a little shaky with your commitment to financial discipline. So, you know, that's an issue that people have to look at. I mean, Dr. Mike was right. He does have a track record. But if you look at the platform he ran on, there are numerous places where he not only didn't keep his promise, he went in the exact opposite direction.
I hear you. Just some information from the press conference. Mr. Gupta is out, and the Texera is now the treasurer. Barbara Texera, she's going to be the treasurer. All promotions are going to be from within city government, current city government. I'm waiting to see who the new auditor is. Interestingly enough, this isn't being broadcast live by Channel 18.
Yeah,
government
and
television.
if it's the assistant auditor who got $12,000 over the last 2 years, $6,000 last year and $6,000 this year for pay raises, and is going to get another pay raise, I think we're going to have to look into it. But I don't believe she even has a degree.
Right.
So, you know, the qualifications, they're from within, and from within the people that he put in.
Right.
And, you know, it's not a good idea to eviscerate the city government and you know, the people in charge of the finances, you know, 45 days before an election or so. You know, the fact is that, look, this is a political move. It's, you know, it's going to be, here we go. We're going to do everything now. We'll pave streets. We'll put up new street signs. We'll do everything, you know, 45 days for an election, and get all our cronies to call and say what a great job we're doing. And we forgot that, you know, this is we're going into the last 6 months of his second year in office. So where was all this stuff done? Why were, you know, Mr. Gupta's been there for the entire time, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so now all of a sudden they found that he's not capable. And I knew he was going, obviously, before. I also had a meeting with him today. He went to his last meeting on a retirement board, and he was always he always took a position that, whether I agreed or disagreed, was well thought out. And, you know, he seemed to be a reasonable guy. But obviously, you know, we're gonna purge. There's going to be the purge of the mayor, and he's going to spin it like this is a good thing for the city of Fall River.
Right.
Well, the question I ask is, with all these people being replaced or elevated, what is this? Is this truly because these people were not doing their job? And if that was the case, why did it take a year and a half to figure it out? And secondly, if this is a case of putting your friends in these positions, so if you don't win the election, they've got the job already, and then you'll have to extricate them from the job, neither one. That's why when you do things within this time frame where we're pressing in on an election, it just smacks of pure politics.
Yep. Well, according to our sources over at Government Center, the city collector is now being transferred over to city auditor. This was an interim collector. Oliveira is still the assistant collector. So, I mean, we're getting bits and pieces of this story as we go along. So...
Yeah, so it's somebody that just got brought on board, being transferred from their entry position into a position that they were probably promised when they got a job.
The interim auditor is definitely the current assistant auditor.
The current assistant auditor.
Yep.
The one that just got 12 grand.
Right. So
okay, so now that'll come with another pay raise.
Right.
So let's check the total of pay raises over the last 2 years for this individual, and obviously we have to see about their credentials. You know, we have credentials, and we have things like, you know, this is an attack on a taxpayer, attack on it. They complain about things like the retirement system, and yet here you have. Mary Sahadi's been trying to get a full-time job with the city, town, you know, or the state for 5 years. Why? Because she's going to use her 20 years of being a part-time, you know, board member, and then she's going to roll that over. Now, like I said, it disturbs me when people complain about people who worked for 30 or 40 years and got a pension that they earned. But when I talk about Joan Menard and people like that who elevate their pensions by getting these political jobs. Now, Mary Sahadi took these full-time jobs for one reason. Once she puts her time in as full-time, she will retire not as a part-time employee with no health care. She will retire at a full-time employee based on her full-time salary, and she will get health care because she spent her 5 years as a full-timer. Now, if this wasn't something that was obviously a money grab, and of course it's going to hurt the retirement system because she didn't pay into this retirement system as a full-time employee for 32 years like the average worker has to do. No, she's going to work for 5 years and bail out. When she worked 5 years as a full-time, which I find hard to believe that she's a full-time employee because she's got 4 full-time jobs. I don't know if there's enough hours in a day, you know, or she doesn't sleep at all because 4 full-time jobs is 24 hours a day if they're 8-hour jobs. So, but I mean, it's obvious what's going on here. It's obvious what is happening. And then they're going to complain about the system. Well, as I said, the city didn't put in enough money for 10 years. Then they pump people like this into the system. I don't have a problem giving somebody who worked in City Hall for 30 years, went to work every day, got crap for a salary, firefighters, police officers who put their life on the line, DPW workers who picked up trash in any kind of weather for decades. They earn their pension. But this disturbs me because it's an obvious political move, just as what we covered a few shows ago with the Braintree police chief being allowed to retire and then being rehired and being allowed to circumvent the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and get all his pay and work over 20 hours, work full-time, get his full-time pay, and get a full pension, which circumvents 3 or 4 different laws. But that just goes to show, if you're a politician or if you're a political hack, the rules do not apply to you. But the end result of this is that taxpayer gets their wallet picked again. CJ, I don't know, what are you doing? Bringing up the speed on the...
Yeah, somebody sent me a picture of the team, but I can't get the picture on the screen. I wish I could. And I was trying to see if I could find some Twitter feeds real quick on anything going on. But it seems like there's been a drastic change in the financial team over at Government Center. And
yeah, but not at the top. They got to get their 5 years in.
Yeah, well, you know, here's the funny thing about it's 5 years they got to get.
Yeah, the new it's not 3 anymore. He's not the you know.
So if Mary doesn't get 5 years, she might be out of luck. Well, you know, if we get a new mayor, she may not get her 5 years. Now, my question is this: now remember we were combining positions?
Yeah.
Not that long ago, the mayor said we were going to combine positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of treasurer and collector, and you know.
Yeah. We were consolidating for court. That was one of his campaign promises
Right.
that he was going to try to. But, you know, what did we do with DCM? We split it up and paid 2 people.
Exactly.
You know?
Well,
and now we're doing it again.
And now Mary Sahadi is the chief financial officer / treasurer, but now she has a treasurer, so she's not treasurer anymore. So what is she doing?
Are we cutting her salary?
Are we going to cut her salary? I mean, what is she doing? If she's not the treasurer, because the treasurer has always served in that capacity
That's right.
as the chief financial officer. So again, what is she doing that she can get away with this?
Well,
Why is this mayor, and I'm sorry I got to say this, what dirty laundry does Mary Sahadi have on this mayor? Or any mayor? That she has 4 full-time jobs, it seems.
Well, she may not have dirty laundry, but I can tell you one thing. I'm sure she swore an oath to never ever oppose any kind of thing that he put forth, even if it isn't fiscally responsible for the city. And I can speak to that because she went to the retirement board and tried to get the retirement board to enter into a contract that was illegal. And our attorney told her that, and we didn't accept it because she wanted to save a few dollars for the city so they could spend it on pay raises. So
God
it's
forbid.
not the first time. The fact is that that's one of the things. You swear an oath to do whatever they want you to do. And look, I mean, I understand her motivation. I mean, if somebody told you could work, you could show up to a housing authority meeting once a month or so for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you can grab a full-time job for 5. You only got to work 5 years, and then you're going to have a 6-figure salary, and you're going to get a pension like the poor folk who have to work 30 years for that pension.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I mean, look. I can't, you can't, I understand your motivation, but as a taxpayer and as somebody who is looking at the fiduciary ramifications of this on the unfunded liability of the pension system, when people complain and later on cut the system, everybody out there that wants to hold a sign later that don't cut my benefits, just remember one thing when you vote. It's things like this that increase it. It's not you paying into the system. It's the city not paying their fair share. It's the city giving people pensions like this. It's like what's happening in Braintree. This guy is getting $116,000 a year as a pension, and he's got a $154,000 salary. Do the math. Nobody else can do that. But don't think that Pandora's box has been opened. So don't think that some other politically connected hack somewhere will say, hey, they did it in Braintree. Why can't we do it here? And it'll absolutely destroy the pension system when people begin to do stuff like this.
Oh, my God.
It's ridiculous.
You mean like what the governor did last week?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and that's what disturbs you. When you victimize the taxpayer, and you victimize the people who work every day in a job in cities and towns and in county jobs. They go to work every day, they collect their salary, and they come home and they pay into the system, and then if they retire 5 years earlier, they're penalized.
That's right.
Or the governor will send the same mayor that recommended that police chief to circumvent the rules to cut the MBTA pensions for the workers. So this is what disturbs me because, the people who actually earn that pension are the ones who always suffer. The politicians and the political malingerers and hacks never, ever get penalized, ever. They always come out ahead of the game.
And that's news why?
Well, but it's nice to remind people of that because when people come around looking for your vote, tell them you want them to watch your pocketbook first.
Exactly. We couldn't get to any of our other news today, but hey, if I were you, I'd be really angry right now, and I'd be storming City Hall. Have a great day.
See you on Friday.
See you Friday.